All right, we're live on Las Vegas Triathlon Club Facebook page, and we are recording. I'm John Mercer, president of the Las Vegas Tri Club. I've got Ted Gerard here, ambassador of the Tri Club. Hey, Ted, how's it going? Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night. Nothing better to do than sit and talk triathlon, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
You know, it's interesting. My wife, she as soon as 6 o'clock comes in on Friday, it's time to take the dog for a walk. And she she leaves because she knows now that that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So
It's been a
good,
nice
though.
routine to get into, and it leads into the weekend, and
Yeah.
get thinking
Yep.
about things too later on the rides or the runs or the swims. So
Yep.
that's always good.
Absolutely. You know, and well, first of all, let's talk about how was your week? How was your event? I guess
My
last
my
week.
week was restful.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What does it feel like to have accomplished something and have a nice rest?
Well, I'll tell you what, felt great. And, and thanks to you for helping go through the details and, the bad and the good. And that was really helpful. And
You're welcome.
so for those who don't know, I did 2.4 mile swim down at Willow Beach in about 55-degree temp water in the Colorado River in the dark for much of it, which was actually really interesting and fun. And then bike from Willow Beach up to Mount Charleston Lodge and back down to the resort. So 112 miles, 14,006 feet of elevation. So I just got over that 6 foot, 14,000 mark by 6 foot.
You know, John, I'm going to give you a hard time because, you know, you're only like 500 away from a half Everest.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
should have done
right. I guess I
500
should have done
more.
that. Yeah. That would have been good. And then I overnighted it at the resort, which was perfect because by then it was it was dark, and my gut had turned, and so I needed about 6 hours for my gut to get back online. And then I actually was eating at night. Fortunately, they've got a 24-hour cafe there. I was able to go
Oh, they
down
do.
and eat there. Yeah, yeah, it was really actually a quite nice resort. I'd go back up another time.
So like 2 in the morning you were eating?
Oh yeah, yeah. And
I thought it odd that you were texting me at like 10 o'clock at night after you did all this.
oh,
I was like, man, I am telling you what, I would have been like so
oh, I
tired.
don't even remember texting you at 10 o'clock at night. Okay, so yeah, I was probably still in a fog at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I needed to make sure that I could eat, because if I wasn't going to be able to eat, I was not going to try to summit. But I was able to start eating, and that was good. So we got up, we took our time, and then went for the summit. And I started at the resort and did a 26.2 mile loop to get up to the top of Charleston via the north loop, and then down the south loop, and it was nice. 36 hours later from starting, it was done, and it didn't feel like 36 hours. And I think most people know, I attempted this whole thing one other time and did not make it. I had to stop on the bike ride, and I struggled up that bike hill still this time, but at least it was cooler, and I had someone helping me right along with me, pull me up, especially in the headwind. That was good. So then here's my trophy.
Oh, is that a piece of lava from the top?
It's actually a piece of charred wood.
Oh, charred wood. Okay.
Yeah. So at the top of Charleston, I don't know if you've been up in a while, but there's a whole area that's been burnt down.
Right.
And it's growing back. And it's just, to me, going through it, it was beautiful, because you have all this burnt wood and you've got this new growth of flowers, desert flowers. And so I, getting a little philosophical, at 30 hours into this, thinking, well, that's part of what we're doing here. We have to burn down, we have to destroy a little bit, but then we get this wonderful growth that comes out of it. And so that was sort of that thought sort of carried me through the last part.
Isn't that that's what training is, right?
It is. And it was neat just to sort of think about it that way, that's what we're doing in training, and that's what we're doing in races, is we beat ourselves up, and but then we grow, either physically or mentally or however, and that's sort of the why. That's why we're out there doing it. So
It's very, very philosophical. I love it. So let me ask you another question, kind of a philosophic question. How did it feel compared to, for example, finishing an Ironman, successful finish of an Ironman?
yeah. It is ranks right up there with any of my accomplishments in an iron distance event. And yeah, you know, finished and Laura was right there, and uh, it was it's meaningful. It's neat to be able to be able to do that exercise for that period of time. And yes, so I had a 12-hour T2. So now the next time I'm going to try to do it straight through.
My
But
understanding is you made it under the official cutoff time, though.
yeah, well, the official cutoff time was whatever we set it at, right?
Oh, you had to go to work on Monday.
That's true.
That would
That's
have been the
true.
official
Yeah,
cutoff time when you had to
yeah,
log in to go teach a class or something on Monday morning.
yeah. No, that's true, and so that was a success, and it was nice because now it sort of leads into a nice off season because everything is sort of canceled, but it also leads into supporting you for your epic
Yeah,
challenge. So you're
yeah.
next on the list here.
I know, I know. So it was interesting. I posted a few things this week on the Tri Club page, and of course, Matt, I'm probably sure you're listening. Posted. So when are you doing it?
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite ready to commit. And I've been saying since the beginning I was going to do it the first weekend of the fall, that it was going to be a high in the 80s in Las Vegas. And honestly, I was kind of thinking this weekend would be that weekend.
Mm.
Because like the normal high this time of year is 90, right? That's the average high. And I was like, well, if I'm get lucky this weekend, it might be like 88, and I'd been good to go. But of course, it's going to be not that this weekend. And now the long range forecast still looks like it's going to be in the 90s next weekend. And I can't hold on much longer.
Yeah.
And
You're in great shape though.
yeah,
So maybe take a step back, and maybe not everyone knows what you're up to. I think most people do.
okay, yeah, let's. So I am going to attempt an Everesting, and an Everesting is basically climbing the same altitude as Mount Everest on your bike on one ride. But to make it official, there's a group called the Hells 500, which keeps. I'm going to show us. I'll show everybody the website in a little bit, but they're the official keepers of the Everesting records. And so I'm going to attempt this next weekend. There it is. I said it. I'm going to attempt it next weekend.
Awesome.
And so I'm going to do it. I'll show you the route and stuff like that, but it's going to be on Lee Canyon is my goal. So yeah, it has to be in one ride. The only rule as far as like timing for time cutoffs is you can't sleep.
Mm.
And but I'll show you some of the math and things that I've worked out and as we go. But I didn't come up with this idea. Obviously, somebody else did. But it's kind of been a thing to do, kind of like the ice bucket challenge was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Everesting has been a thing that a lot of pro triathletes and pro cyclists and have taken, in the COVID era. And this summer we did that 7 Summit series through the Tri Club, and where we did. The challenge was to climb the height of each of the highest mountains on each continent through a week. And after week 5, my legs were toasted, and I never made week 6 or week 7. So I was like, you know what? I think if I really like buckle down and train specifically for this with a lot of hill climbing, I was already doing a lot, but a lot more. I think I could do this in one day. And I started looking at other people that had done it, and it gets a little intimidating because the world record is 7 hour, in the sevens, 7 hours. I think it's like just 7:04 or something like that. And he said it about a month and a half ago. Alberto Contador had it before that, but we started looking at the average people. And it's like 16 to 20 hours is the timeline. And it's really difficult to find, number one, to find the right place to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of math involved in this. You want to have a good incline, and because if it's not enough of an incline, then it becomes a lot longer in miles. But it can't be too steep of an incline that you can't consistently get up it at at a consistent wattage. Obviously, altitude plays a role. I'm going to be doing this at pretty high altitude, so that's a negative. I considered going down to California to do it at sea level, which would be easier. But yeah, so that's kind of that's leading us to now.
Yeah.
So the now is this next weekend. I have not decided if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday yet. That is still going to come down to the weather. If it looks about the same Saturday and Sunday, I'll do it on Sunday. I'd prefer to do it on Sunday. But if it's going to be, for example, really windy on Sunday and not windy on Saturday, I'll do it on Saturday.
Okay.
So Sunday is my A day. Saturday is if Sunday is going to be bad.
Okay. So a couple of things. One is this is also a result of the whole COVID-19 and the 2020 cancellations where I think you came up with the idea of Epic October to say, hey, let's come up with some challenges this fall and let's target them because, the races are always a carrot that we can sort of test ourselves against, but we don't necessarily need the race. We can still come up with our own challenges. And so I think you and I got together and I said, well, this is a perfect time. I want to try this, epic triathlon that I've had in the back of my mind. And we've talked about it a couple of years ago. Yeah. And you said, well, I'm trying to Everesting. And I said, let's put it out there and see who else we can talk into doing an epic something in October. So
I haven't been this scared since probably my first triathlon. Oh. Because it's the unknown. And then maybe my first, the full Ironman. Actually, maybe in the first half as well. That's the feeling I'm having is like, and I don't like it and I like it. Yeah. At the same time, like this is the kind of thing that in those of you that I'm sure you've all been through this where like you wake up in the middle of the night, you can't get back to sleep because you're thinking about it. Yeah. Like the what ifs. And, if I was to go race a triathlon this weekend, I wouldn't have that same, because I've done it. Right? I think I've done 75 triathlons or something ridiculous like that. So I don't have that same level of anxiety, I guess. And but not to say anxiety, let's say excitement. Like, I'm excited to do
anticipation. Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So let's do this. Let me share some stuff with you guys as far as some cool things that I found about Everesting and the website and my route. And we'll kind of go from there. Does that sound good?
No, that sounds good. I want to add one more thing as you bring that up. The mental fortitude it takes to do an event where you don't know which day it's on is pretty amazing. And that is something I think it's sort of, people can experience that now because, I think about Eliud Kipchoge and he tried the sub 2. He never had one date. They were waiting for the perfect day because every little, gain they could get, they were trying to get him under 2 hours. And I know I experienced a little bit of that where you're like, I don't know when I'm going to do it. It's just, it's a little different. And so now you've got to at least narrow it down to Saturday, Sunday, but that's still tough. That's still tough.
Okay. So if you can let me share.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I got to do that. Let's see. Okay. Try it now.
Okay. So can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Oh, sure. There we go.
Yep. Okay. Now it's coming up.
Okay. So this is the Everesting website. So once again, this group Hells 500 puts this on, and they've been doing it for a long time. So this is how many people ever have done it. It's 11,601. I'm hoping to move that up.
These are all outdoor, or does this include indoor?
This includes indoor. So there's virtual Everesting as well. So it really is not that many people. And you can actually go in, there's actually this thing called the Ride Hall of Fame, and you can break it down by categories. I think I will be the 5th person in Nevada to do it, and only the 2nd in Southern Nevada to actually do it. So there's been one person that has done it on Deer Creek.
Oh, wow.
And it took him 20 hours to do it. And it was 20 ascents? It's 20 ascents of Deer Creek. Okay. So this is the official website if anyone's interested. They have the calculator, which helps you. So here's their calculator. And this is one I've already pre-put in. So this is the Strava route. You can put a Strava route or a Strava segment, and then you calculate it. So this is the name of my route. It's called 1/10 Everest B, because I took a few chances on getting this exactly right. So I gotta do 10 laps. Every lap is 16.4 miles. So that's out and back. So it's 8.2 miles up, 8.2 miles down.
Got it.
And the total distance will be 164 miles. Elevation gain per lap is 29.05. It's 29.29 to actually Everest, but they always say to put a little bit extra in just to be safe. And the average gradient is 6.7%.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's no joke.
Great.
And then you can put in some statistics here, right? So I'm calculating out 7.8 miles an hour on the way up, 35 miles an hour on the way down. I actually wrote it last week. I did a little bit higher wattage than I planned and did it about 8.2 miles an hour. And the descent was at some points 48 miles an hour. It was a little crazy. And then you can calculate in how much you're going to rest. I don't have my rest in, but it's calculating right now of actual ride time, 12 hours and 51 minutes of ride time.
Okay.
So an hour and 3 every time up, 14 minutes and 4 seconds down. I'm thinking that in the beginning, I'll be probably closer to 58, 59 minutes up. And then as the day goes on, it'll get progressively, I think, a little slower. Then you also can calculate in, your bike weight, your personal weight, and then it'll tell you your average power you need to make that speed.
Oh, okay. So you're putting the speed in, and then it's calculating the power. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I could change that speed.
Yeah.
Let's say to 8, and it goes to 202 watts.
Yeah.
And then you see the time goes down as well.
Okay.
Okay. So then when you're finished, you upload your Strava stuff to another website, and then they validate this, and they usually validate it within a day. So they go to Velo Viewer, and then they validate you, and then you get put in the Hall of Fame if you make it.
What is that brutal?
That is because I'm doing it that fast.
Ah, okay.
So I think if I go slower.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's cool. So 700, or excuse me, 7,424 kilojoules.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, right? Is trying to figure out, and this was what we're going to talk about, is trying to figure out the game plan for fueling.
Yeah.
We had an interesting talk this morning with someone about fueling. So how do you bring in every hour and 15 minutes or so 743? Because a kilojoule is basically a kilocalorie.
Yep.
The good thing is I think I'm going to be able to bring in 500 an hour, because the descent I'm not going to be pedaling. Right. So if I eat at the top, I get 15 minutes of basically my heart rate will be in the 80s, 70s or 80s.
Right.
On the descent, as long as I don't scare myself too.
Right. So let's make sure everyone understands what's a typical amount of calories that you can. Obviously, you can eat a lot of calories. You can't digest it. Exactly. So what are some numbers that are pretty typical that you've seen for calories per hour?
300 calories an hour is getting up to the top when you're exercising hard.
Yeah.
Right. So, and this is going to sound weird, but these are not hard efforts for me.
Right.
And I don't want to be like cocky or anything, but like 197 watts, my heart rate might be 120.
Yeah. No, you're in great shape right now.
And and I know historically I can bring in about 250 to 300 when I have a heart rate of 155, 160, like when I'm threshold or closer to threshold.
Yeah.
So I think between that and then, so if my heart rate's 120-ish on the way up, on the way down, it'll go down into the 70s. I think I'll be able to bring in more calories. And then my plan is at the top of every ascent is to get like a Cliff Bar, 250 or so calories. And then eat that, and then on the way down, just kind of chill, let it digest, and then on the way up, drink 200 or so calories.
Okay.
So that's kind of that's my game plan right now. This could all fall apart, as
Yeah.
you know. So as I'm preparing my plan, there's multiple plans, right? So if it gets to a point where I can't stomach another bar, I'm also going to have like a bean burrito ready to go,
Yeah.
and you know, maybe some cheese or something completely different,
Yeah.
just to maybe reset the system. And because nothing, you've done enough of these long events, nothing ever goes as planned.
No, that's right. Well, I'll tell you, so during an iron distance event, if people can get in 200 to 300 calories per hour, that's fantastic. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so, trying to get in, 700 calories obviously is impossible.
Right.
And
But I think
so
500 might be okay.
that's right. That's right. And it is, a function of, like you said, intensity, and you've got that downhill section.
Yeah.
But
If I didn't have the downhill section, let's say I was going, that wattage for like 10 hours,
yeah,
I don't think I could bring that in.
right, right. And
But
this is a source of a lot of GI problems people have in bunking or just shutting the gut down.
Yeah.
And so that's the risk that you run. Now you're also doing your time trial bike for the downhill part.
maybe we're still trying to figure that out. And I don't know how much, if it's advantageous or not. The idea was we have mentioned this, is to do the time trial bike on a few of the descents.
Yeah.
Just have a different position.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually think that might be part of my issue is going to be like just sitting on that saddle for so many hours.
Mm-hmm.
My longest ride ever is like 9 hours.
Mm.
And so I don't know, like who knows what happens to your butt after 10 hours.
Mine is now over 12.
Yeah. And how did your undercarriage feel?
Actually fine. Now I'll tell you that your idea though of having extra food that you don't know you want, that's something Laura and I talked about afterwards, is we probably needed to stock up on more variety and have no idea because you have no idea what's going to work or what doesn't work. I'll tell you, at one point I was like, I just need ramen noodles. And we had the ramen noodles, but we had no way to heat it up. And she said, well, let me just put it in this water, and this water is pretty warm already. So take this. And really what I was craving was the salt. So it wasn't the noodles so much. So, going back, I think having more, and when we did Norseman, there was people that had these really sophisticated storage systems with all sorts of foods, anything from straight sugars, M&Ms type of stuff, to more complicated foods like you're talking about, like a bean burrito or something. So I think that's brilliant to have those things ready.
Yeah, and I think everyone, especially that's done an Ironman, recognizes that, in the aid stations late in the evening, they have a completely different variety of things, and soup broths and pretzels and whatever. I'm going to have fruit. I'm going to have just whatever I can kind of think of, and it's going to be what it is. And when I get to the top every time, if I need something, my wife is committed to be there all day, and we'll have basically a few of those plastic bucket things, and it was like, okay, that's what I want. Take it, and I'm going to go. One of my issues, honestly, this is going to sound weird, is like the gastrointestinal stuff, right? Like there's only one bathroom, and it's at the top. Right. So like that's part of it too, is like you gotta be careful. And then obviously we've talked in the past even about urination, about like you got to be hydrated for this. Like but you get like maybe one shot every hour and 15 minutes at an actual bathroom. So maybe I'm gonna have to urinate off the bike. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But those are things that you don't think about, but you actually have to. So even in building the route, it was important for me to have at least one bathroom, like on the route, because like when things go bad, you could be going every hour.
Right. That's right.
And So, there is there is that being built into it.
So
Um,
that makes me think of what you're going to wear, and are you taking obviously different kits?
yes, so that's a great question. So I've been doing so much reading on this, and it is important just to be aero,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the descending, I mean, you could cut off, let's say you cut off 1 or 2 minutes every descent by being aero. And even at 8 miles an hour, there is a penalty for not being aero,
Yeah.
especially if you get a little wind out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, having the most aero kit that I can, but I could also go to the bathroom in, um, is important. Marie, my wife, she wants me to have 9 sets of shorts.
Mm.
She's like, you should have one that you change every time, but I want to be quicker.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to bring multiple sets of shorts. And my thing is if I do have to go to the bathroom, I'm going to bring a pair of shorts. I'm just going to change them anyways.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And then as far as like the tops, I don't think I'll have to change my top until it gets dark. Once it gets dark, because I think I'll be pretty wet.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'll be wet because it's going
Yeah.
to be hot. And maybe I'll change to something like a dry top and maybe even a long sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
depending, because especially at 7,000 feet, as soon as the sun goes down, it might get chilly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping if this all goes as planned to finish before it gets too dark, but this might be a 20-hour thing,
Yeah. Right.
right? I might be out there till midnight. I don't
Oh,
know. And so I have to be prepared for almost anything. And also, you've been up there, and we've all been up there, and it starts raining,
mm-hmm.
or a hailstorm, or whatever. And if I'm 9 out of 10 in, and it starts pouring and hail or whatever, I'm going. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of prep for that. I'm going to have 2 helmets.
Yeah.
Um, so, helmet for when it's a little cooler, especially in the morning and at night, and then a more ventilated helmet for, when it's hot. That's the one nice thing about this compared to what you're doing, John, is like, I'm going to have 2 cars. I'm going to have a car at the bottom and a car at the top
Mm-hmm.
that are going to have stuff, right? I also am going to change my shoes.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
I'm planning maybe every second time to change my shoes.
Is it the same style of shoe or just
No, one's I guess there's similar styles, but one is a Pearl and one's a Specialized, and
mm-hmm.
I get different hot spots from both.
Okay.
And I've noticed that especially on my longer training rides, in either one at about 7 hours, I start to really get some hot spots. So I
Mm-hmm.
figure if I keep switching back and forth, and during my training, I'll do like one training ride in one in the other, and I keep going back and forth. So I'm comfortable in both, and they're set up very, very similar, like as far as the clips and stuff. But I have that planned as well. So I mean, there's a lot going to this, right?
It's a
We
lot.
we haven't even started talking about communication yet, and that's another issue that obviously we can talk about. But any other questions about like the setup?
No, so average gradient 6.7. What's the steepest and what's the least steep?
Okay, actually, let's go to this. So here is the Velo viewer. I don't know if anyone's used this before.
I have not, but I saw you post this.
So
So,
this is my route, and I can zoom out for people so they can kind of see. So this is the main highway, Highway 95.
oh,
This is the Lee Canyon Road,
mm-hmm.
and then this is the cutoff, Deer Creek, going across.
Okay.
So there's a campground or picnic ground here called, I think it's Sawmill.
Oh, okay. So that's where the
That's where
restroom.
the bathroom is.
Oh, yeah,
And
got
so 8 miles down is the start. So
Okay.
if we look at their 3D profile, this is the cool thing about this.
Oh, wow.
We can even throw it on a map. So this is the profile.
Okay. What's yellow?
So yellow is actually, we're up here. I think it's under 7%.
Okay.
And then green is pretty flat, and then it kicks up. So as the darker colors, it gets a little bit steeper. So
Yeah.
there's 3 steep sections, but this actually doesn't really do it justice, John. Like they're not that much steeper.
What?
So
Oh,
like,
really?
like this is saying it's like 13%.
Uh-huh.
It's not. Like these are steeper sections. They may go to 9
Yeah.
and 9 and 9. Okay. But honestly, it feels like when you're riding it, you can barely notice the difference between like when you're at 6.5. Because I'd say in this bottom section, it's like 6.5.
Yeah.
This is like 6.5.
6% is a major grade. So
Yeah.
that's where on roads and highways, they have to put the signs up, 6% grade,
Yeah.
because it's that steep. It's steep enough to know things can go wrong.
Yeah. So when you kind of spin this around, you can really kind of get an idea of how, how literally steep, really steep it is. And the thing is with it is it's consistent. It's
Yeah.
constant. There's at no point from here to here that you can stop pedaling.
Okay.
You stop pedaling, you're going to stop.
Right. Right.
Right. There's no coasting. It is up.
Yeah.
One of the things when I started planning this out, like I actually would have preferred to have done a shorter segment that was steeper,
Uh-huh.
but I couldn't find one like in Southern Nevada. And
What kind of time were you looking at for a segment, though? You're
I was
shorter
looking,
in
I
terms
was
of
looking at shorter. I would have preferred like a half hour
okay.
at 8 to 9 to
Yep.
10%.
Mm-hmm.
It actually, when you look at the math of it, the day goes quicker.
Yeah. Right.
The guy that just set the world record was 14% grade.
Mm.
And he did 80 turnarounds.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
but
80?
yeah,
Wow.
it was in Ireland. It was a short, quick
Yeah. Okay.
hit. But we also know that if you have the right gearing,
Mm-hmm.
the grade doesn't matter as much.
All right. So thanks for bringing that up. What
Yep.
gearing are you using?
Okay, so I'm testing it out this weekend, but I'm going with actually a little bit larger chainring in the front. So I'm going with a 54-42.
Really interesting.
42, and the back is going to be most of the time I'll be in a 30.
Okay.
So it's a 30-12 or 30-11.
Okay.
Ultimately, like what I would have really liked to have done had I had the what's the word, the finances available to do it and the time, I would have preferred to do a custom with with just 3 gears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have a 26, a 28, or 30, or something like, or a 32,
Yeah.
and single speed.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is, I could have done it, but my bike is a Di2
Yeah.
bike, and to do it in Di2 just doesn't work. Like I'd have basically had to build a bike with mechanical shifting and do that. So my bike, honestly, this is going to sound weird, is basically pure stock. It's an S-Works Tarmac SL5, and it is stock seat posts, stock everything except for the seat. I mean, I have my own seat. I'm going to be running. Actually, the tires just came in. I'm going to be running the Corsa Speed tubeless tires, but I'm going to put tubes in them, and I chose 25s because that's actually the biggest they make.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to run latex tubes at 80 psi. That's what I'll start with. But as the day gets hotter, they should gain.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it gets a little colder, they'll lose a little pressure.
You'll be wearing gloves?
Yes. Yeah. And actually, I messed around with a few of the train rides without gloves, but my hands were getting so sore.
Yeah. Right.
And I kept changing hand positions, and that's something that's actually really interesting. Like the hours go, like on some of these long climbing training rides, the hours go really quite quickly, believe it or not. And you go 15 minutes and you don't even realize you've been like gripping so hard and in the same position. So I'm going to wear gloves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Did you modify the height of your bars for this?
I didn't, but they're pretty high already.
Okay.
Yeah, they can only go like maybe another 1/4 inch higher.
Yep.
And I actually even thought about like bringing the hoods up a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
But I've been training in this, so I'm not gonna.
You're good. I don't want to.
Gonna leave it. I am doing some things with my chain that I've never done before. So I got a brand new chain. you know, I did some research as to what the best possible chain would be. I'm going to ride a Dura-Ace chain that I actually the last weekend completely cleaned, took all everything off of it, and the wax has been ordered. I don't have it yet.
Uh-oh.
I've never waxed a chain.
Which wax are you using?
I'm going to go with the Silka wax, and then the Silka, their new lube, it's called Super Secret Lube.
Yep.
So Silka wax, Silka lube on a brand new chain. I'm going to do one ride this week with it to break in the chain a little bit. It was actually kind of a last minute thing. I wish I would have got the wax ordered so I could have actually done my training ride on Sunday with a waxed chain, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of a deal to actually wax the chain.
No. So what, for the Silka, what kind of pot are you using to?
They have it's actually a sous vide boil in bag. I don't know if you've seen this. So you just put the bag in a pot of water and you dip the chain in the bag.
Got it.
So you don't have to mess around with
double boiler
with the crock pot and stuff like that.
I used to wax my chain up until I spilled a pot of wax on my garage floor. And my garage floor will forever be slippery.
I'm doing it in the kitchen. Don't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So that's that's kind of the technical side.
Well, one more technical piece. You cleaned your chain. Tell everyone how you clean your chain.
So I took ZEP degreaser, ZEP degreaser, and a ultrasonic cleaner. So I have an ultrasonic cleaner in my garage that I used to clean my chains with, and I did heated it to 60 degrees Celsius and a half hour of ultrasonic cleaning. Then I washed it with water. And it sounds weird, soap and water. Then I rinsed it all off with water. Then I dried it. And then I haven't done the next step yet, but I'm going to then clean it now with acetone, which will get rid of the rest. And that's actually job for tomorrow is to acetone it. And because basically you want to get all the factory lubricant off. And then I'm going to have a brand new cassette as well.
Okay. Yeah, so, I have not done the ultrasound. I need to get one of those, but I would, after washing with a degreaser and even soap and water, I'd get an air compressor out.
Yeah, well, I have an air compressor too. Yeah. So I find that in the summer in Las Vegas, it works almost as well. Just put it on my driveway for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hot out there, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because in the winter I use that the air compressor for sure. On a new chain, maybe not as important. Like an older chain, I still think I'd use the air compressor because I think you can still get some of that grime out. And it's interesting, you know, we could do a whole podcast on lubricants and we should, and chains.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Okay, wait, one more.
Yep.
Equipment, glasses or no glasses?
No glasses on the way up if I can figure out how to do, because I've got like 3 or 4 pairs, but grab them on the way down or just have them. And mostly because of the heat. Right. If it was going to be cool, I'd wear glasses the entire time. Yeah. But you know, the glasses, you know, you can keep heat in. With your glasses. So even like when I would do my long training rides, I take my glasses off for the ascents, and then obviously put them on.
Sun lotion. Sunscreen.
Oh, for sure, sunscreen. Yeah, sunscreen for sure. And then. We talked about it before, but I'm going to be recruiting people from the club. And one of the things is if people have like water guns and you want to spray me with water guns, that would be, don't sneak up behind me and do it.
That's right.
You know, when we did
not the way down.
When I did the Mojave Death Race, that was, you know, we did this race. I did it a few times in the Mojave Desert in June, and I think the hottest we raced, I did one segment that's 115 degrees, and an uphill time trial at 115 degrees, and the super soaker, nothing felt so good. Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, that was pretty amazing, and so we'll talk about that as well. So that being said, I'll say it here. I'm planning on doing a planning meeting via Zoom on Wednesday evening. And I'm kind of shooting for like 7:30 on PM on Wednesday evening. So if anyone's interested in wants to come out and wants to know what they can do. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask, and we'll post this on the Tri Club page as well. I've got people that are going to ride some of the segments with me. And I've got, people that are going to help Marie out. I need people to potentially even help, drive my bike down, my road bike down, so that I can ride the time trial bike down a few times. Just all these little things that would be nice. It's interesting. I'm going to say it because you know it. I could do it by myself. Sure. I'm choosing not to.
Yep. No.
Mostly for the sanity of, of the situation.
I had someone comment on mine, because I like you, I can, you can do a lot of these things individually, but you really don't do them individually. You don't do them by yourself. And so someone called it your adventure team. And I really like that, because that's what it is. It really is a team effort to get these things like this done the way you want to do it, so that you can focus on, the effort in front of you and focus on the ride versus all those other little things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Wednesday night, the planning.
Yeah. Wednesday night, 7:30 planning meeting.
Yep.
And I'll go into more depth and detail about, the nitty gritty of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to shoot for, I don't know. I'm shooting somewhere between a 5 a.m. and a 6 a.m. start.
Okay.
I believe that, sleep is important, but I also know that I'm going to be really anxious and not sleep well anyway. So I might as well get up and get going.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also probably not planning on, waking up at 3 a.m. and heading out there at a ridiculous hour either.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's not like I'm avoiding the heat, because it's going to be all day anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So it's either going to be dark in the morning or dark at night.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I did, we have a friend that's a circadian researcher that actually has agreed to be on our podcast. And we talked a little bit about it. He said, you get a bump around 6 or 7 in the morning when you normally wake up.
Oh, okay.
So if you start, let's say 5 and you do 1, you'll get a natural kind of wake up, little shot of cortisol that will happen on your second one, which might be a little bit of a bonus for you.
Okay. So I'm curious, you've said you're a little nervous about this, which I think that's smart, but I'm curious as to what part you're nervous about, because now that you bring that up, the beginning, the first lap, the second lap, you're going, that's fine. The last lap, that's going to be hard, too. But
I think the last lap is going to be fine.
Yeah, but you're going to be like, I can do this. So the middle laps I could see as being somewhat of the challenge.
7, 8, 9 are the ones that are kind of in my mind that are going to be the tough ones, because the sun's going to be going down.
Yeah.
Right. I'll have been through the hottest part of the day. I'll be depleted.
Yeah.
And that's something we actually didn't talk about, is the amount that I'm going to potentially have to drink.
Mm-hmm.
I've calculated my sweat rate out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have never calculated my sweat rate out on a 6.5% grade at 90 degrees.
Right.
So there is that issue.
Yeah.
And then there's all we talked about last week, cramping.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What happens, if I cramp up, and how much time does that eat into this? And does that make this like the 20-hour day?
Yeah.
Because, pretty much when I commit to something, I commit, and I'm going to I'll finish.
Yeah.
Because the one thing is you just can't sleep. Well, I won't be able to sleep anyways.
Yeah. Right.
So if I need to sit there for 3 or 4 hours,
mm-hmm.
I'll sit there for 3 or 4 hours, and then I'll keep going.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scares me is it's John, it's more of a mental thing. I think for me, it's going to be physically hard, and it's going to be physically very hard, but it's more of the mental. When you're doing an Ironman, can you imagine, John, well, you kind of did it, but doing that run on an Ironman when you're struggling and there's no one around.
That's right.
And it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's some dark places you can get to.
Oh,
And
but that's where you get philosophical and you start looking at the burnt wood and you start thinking,
yep,
well, this is why we do this.
yep.
It's
And you
because,
start lying to yourself. And you know, I'm notorious. I don't know about you, but I'm notorious for lying to myself
that's
about,
right.
okay, if you make it up, you finish this, you know, you get a week off.
Yeah,
You know, you
that's
don't have to
true.
train for a week.
So, but it's interesting what you bring up because one of the things I like when I talk with people about iron distance events is everybody will have a dark spot.
Yep.
And I like to hear them tell how they get out of that dark spot
Yep.
because it's all a little bit different. We all do it a little differently. But I think that's something that is really neat to listen to people and to hear their stories of how they got out of that mindset that you want to quit, you want to stop,
You want to get into the
your
porta
body
potty
says,
and not come out.
yeah, and
You know,
so
for me in my racing, my dark spots, it's going to sound really weird, but it's always been my friends and family.
hmm
You know, like I'd see, in particular, my awesome wife, I'd see her and she doesn't like, the thing we don't realize is your family and your friends, they don't care if you finish in 10 hours, 11 hours. Actually, they care because they want to get out of there.
yeah,
But if you finished 16th or 6th, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. They're just
no,
happy
it
for
doesn't
you.
matter. No,
You know, we build it up that it's so much more than it actually
mhm,
is. So
yeah,
when you see them and they're supporting you and you're struggling, and you know, that to me is awesome because they don't, they have a completely different perspective
hmm
of what you're accomplishing,
yeah,
right? You're you know, you're 9 hours into an Ironman and things start to go south,
hmm
and you see the people that you love and you care about and they're cheering for you and they're supporting you and they're the ones that support you the entire time, and you recognize that they love you and they care for you even if you do go in that porta potty and you don't come out,
that's right.
right? And to me that's the, like, that's always been the carrot for me.
hmm Well, and I think this is why it's important to have the right type of people around you when you get to that dark spot because
Yeah.
you do need people at times to tell you to believe in yourself because you're often doubting at that point. I've gone through this and it's tough. You start down, even on this last weekend, I doubted, but yet I had two people there telling me, no, you can do this. You've done it before.
Yeah.
Let's just go a little further. Okay, stop, and now let's do it again. And and that was helpful. And I think without that, sometimes it's easy for those dark spots to sort of take over.
Yeah. No,
So
I agree. And then, you know, just the, you know, the scientist that I am and the math person I am, and I put a lot into calculations, obviously.
hmm
I'm going to share one other thing with you guys,
yeah,
and it's actually from, it'll take me a second. So I'll just kind of just, actually this is,
yeah. So while you do that, I'll tell a little bit more of the
yeah,
end of my bike ride. At that point, it was just Laura and I. And well, going up, I have to give credit to Mark, who helped me because he'd done Norseman as well, and he knew I was struggling, and he gave me some words of encouragement and remembered what Norseman was like. And then the ending part was just Laura and I, and she was getting worried. It's getting dark. They're starting to worry about safety. You don't have a lot of shoulder up there, and it would have been easy to say, hey, let's just turn around now. Let's still get 112, but you just don't make it to the lodge. But at the same time, she knows how I am. And if I don't make it to the lodge, then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I got to do it all over again, get to the lodge. So it was, she said, no, let's do it. And drove behind me and gave me enough light to get up there. And so it is, the people who help support us, they're very much a part of these events.
so this is what's been in my mind. So this is like a training log.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Strava. I have one going from Training Peaks as well. Basically shows the same thing. So this is my fitness over the last year. And
Wow.
so if I look at, this is last November, I won the national championship for my age group.
Wow.
My fitness was 57. I'm
Mm-hmm.
now at 107.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. This was literally a year ago. I won Augusta
Yep.
on a fitness of 54.
Mm.
So I've had this long purpose build. I was actually building at this point for a summer race series that I had some huge races I was going to do.
Yeah.
About in here is when I started realizing wasn't going to race. And so since I've got to here, this is about the time I decided I was going to try the Everesting. I was like,
Mm.
well, if I can just hold my fitness from where it was planning to race
Mm-hmm.
across, the summer and into the fall, um, that would be a good thing. But I'm telling you, holding this fitness at this level has been, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of long days, and this includes just biking and running.
Right. Right.
I'm also swimming 3 times a week,
Yeah.
on top
Well,
on top of this. But
Training Peaks never gives the swimming enough credit.
actually, for me, it seems like it does pretty good.
Yeah.
But
All right. So let me
so
ask you this: so looking at your three races on the left there, back in September, October, do you think that those races actually interfered with your fitness build? Is that what the difference is here?
these races
Yeah.
last fall,
Yeah.
well, actually, the interesting thing was actually let's bring this because this is kind of fun stuff to look at. So let's look at the last 2 years. So this would then now have been that fall.
Okay.
Okay. So I was actually pretty fit in, in the 70s here, but I ramped too quickly and got injured.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so this was injury time.
Uh-huh.
I was still did a few races,
So the
because
orange dots are all races?
all orange dots are races.
Okay.
So that was injured time and just mitigating an injury.
Yep.
And then I started feeling better right around here, and I started to build for the fall. And this was, I think this was, ITU Edmonton race.
Mm-hmm.
I was building, but I raced and then had to kind of come back down because I got kind of a little bit re-injured and then rebuilt. And so, but in general, I mean, when I look at this peak I'm at now and how long I've held this,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm pretty pleased, and I have been relatively healthy
Yeah.
in this time. And actually, I think now I could keep a pretty high level and stay healthy because I'm not increasing load,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, you tend to get the most sore and the most little niggles and stuff when you're building.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been doing really good with just feeling okay with things
Mm-hmm.
in the last 2 months or so.
That's great.
It is, but so this chart is my kind of go-to place when I have self-doubt,
Yeah.
right? Because we all have self-doubt,
Mm-hmm.
and you could feel like you're fit. And like, John, thank you so much for telling me many times that Ted, you're in great shape
Yeah.
right now. But like having it in data is, because I'm a scientific mind by nature, it helps so
Yeah.
much.
That's
It's
right.
like, it's like, okay, like you've done the work. Like this gray area is just accumulation of days of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've done what you can to prepare. There's always that feeling, like even in these fall races where I knew my numbers weren't where they needed to be, I was still successful, but it hurt,
Yeah.
right? Like I was racing beyond my fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Like this event, I feel like is within my fitness, and
Oh, it is. I've
that's a
been
good thing.
obviously watching your Strava, and I think about the right idea that 14,000 feet of climbing. I mean, you do that pretty regularly.
Yeah,
10,000 plus, 12,000 plus, and I
yeah,
had I obviously don't have the fitness you have, and I struggled, but I think you would tear that ride up. And I think
yeah.
that's how fit you are right now. So I think it's going to be fun to watch you hammer out this Everesting. So
So let's talk about my last training ride, which is
okay,
gonna be on this Sunday. So I'm going to do another half Everest. I'm going to do an actual. This will be a really good trial run. So I'm going to do a climb. I'm going to do Deer Creek. So basically from the lodge up to the summit of Deer Creek. I'm going to do it 10 times. So
mm,
it's a half hour climb. So it's literally half of exactly what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a half hour up, about 6.5 minutes down.
Wait, from the lodge or from the resort?
Well, from basically wherever that road starts, the
Okay,
158.
okay, okay.
It's actually the first turnout on 158.
Yep, okay.
So I'm going to do that 10 times,
Mm,
and it's going to give me a chance to practice some more the nutrition,
yep.
and then practice the mental side of doing something 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd been trying to scout out a really good place to do this an attempt. And I think that, that's going to be, I actually literally did not decide till this morning that was going to be my attempt. So that'll be on Sunday. So if anyone wants to come out and ride one time with me, you feel more than willing to. I'm shooting to do it. I'm going to try and do it just over 200 watts every effort.
Okay.
And I'm going to drive up there. So I'm going to look to be there I'm not going to kill myself because it's going to be an all day thing.
Yep, right.
So between like 7 and 8, I'll probably start.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the calculator thing has me at 6.5 hours of riding to do it. So that'll be my Sunday.
All right, well, let me see if I can get you the inReach so we can practice using that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And actually, but there, I think, well, the bottom, it's kind of similar. The bottom half has cell coverage, the top half doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be, right now it's a solo. I'm going by myself.
Right.
I'm just going to have everything I need in my car. I have my car at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I maybe should put the car at the top. No, because you have to finish on a descent. There's all these rules, by the way, to do this Everesting. The one other thing was we didn't talk about is you have to have this all in one Garmin file. And
So
my Garmin dies at about 7 hours.
Yeah, so you've got some batteries that you're going to take.
Yeah, so that's I'm going to test it this weekend. Is charging as I go.
Which Garmin device are you using?
I have the 520 Plus, I think it's called.
So you can charge it while you.
I think so. I did reading on it. It said you can. So you can charge it while you go. I guess the 510 it wouldn't work. The 520 and 520 Plus supposedly works. If that doesn't work, so I'm going to test them. That's going to be tested this weekend. I'm going to do. I'll just do my watch because I think I have the 945. I think it'll go long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd prefer not to do my watch because I'd like to have the heads up like display.
Yeah. Right. Interesting. Yeah. Do you have some? What batteries are you going to tape it onto your top tube? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, so that's what I'm thinking is to tape it to the top tube. Try and hide it away the best that I can. Yeah. I think I'll probably only need it, one time to kind of recharge it. Maybe I'll start it at like hour 6, hour 5, hour 6, and then maybe do 2 times and then take it off.
So what is your battery power at right now for your 505?
How long does it last?
Yeah, what's it at right now? Don't charge it. What I'm saying, where I was going to go is don't charge it before Sunday.
Yeah, it's full. It's already charged.
While you're operating it, it may not charge even if you're plugged in. It may just sustain it. So.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. So you might.
Well, what I'll do is I'll go like halfway and then I'll plug it in and I'll see what it ends up at because I don't care about the weight or anything on.
Oh, right.
On this weekend. Yeah,
because then once you have to start plugging it in, you may not be able to stop plugging it in. So it may not be where you can charge it and use it at the same time. It will still operate off the battery, your external battery, but not charge the unit.
And then the other thing I did, probably pretty unique, is I bought 5 pounds of Reese's Pieces bulk.
Oh.
I kind of got away from the jelly beans. I bought a bunch of jelly beans too for this.
Yeah.
But I like just kind of eating as I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in the darker points, you get some sugar going, and
that's right.
So you can buy them on Amazon. It's amazing. I bought 5 pounds and brown only.
Oh.
For like $23.
Oh, interesting.
I'm like a little squirrel just hiding stuff away for the winter, I feel like.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, that's funny. But yeah, I had M&Ms in my trail mix.
It's good, right?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I start picking those out. That's the problem. I put in a trail mix,
Yep.
especially when I'm in a dark place.
Yeah, the candy shell actually helps. So everything doesn't just get.
I know. You know, the only problem is in the summer in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
that candy shell, like that's,
Oh,
I think, where I tend to go with more of the jelly beans in the
yeah.
summer, and then more of the Reese's and the M&Ms in the winter.
Everything melts in the summer.
Exactly. So what do you got going on this weekend for training?
I am still in recovery mode. So tomorrow, Laura's got a half marathon run for part of her VR series. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take her up to where she's going to start, and then I think we're going to meet at Grouchy John's afterwards. So
A little coffee?
yeah, so I'm going to fit a little bike ride in. I've been swimming, and that always helps.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to do a good recovery just like we would after an iron distance race.
Yeah.
And then and I hope I can get recovered enough to come up and do at least one lap or one up.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out. But I definitely am going to help you out. So it'll be fun.
I really hope you can. And then I'd like to also tell, just once again now, even now, thank everybody for their offers to come out and help.
Yeah.
I do appreciate it. And I hope I haven't offended anybody when I tell them they can't ride with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's the thing is, like, I'm not going to change my pace.
No.
I'm not going to go faster, and I'm not going to go slower with who's there. And that's got to be selfish. And I don't want to offend anybody, but if you want to, like I said, drive in front of me, drive behind me, to make sure I know you're there.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
Well, you've got a goal that you're shooting for, and people are there to support you and not distract from your goal. So
exactly.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I do too. I don't even know if I can. It's like kid before Christmas. I'm still over a week away, and I'm so excited about it.
That's great. Hey, why don't you stop? I guess I should have had you stop sharing.
Oh,
that's great. That's a great amount of detail that you've gone through, and I think it's going to be fun to do the post Everesting analysis.
Yeah.
Comparison with the plan. So
yeah. Honestly, like, I can't wait to see the file that's this.
Yeah.
And see how much the power changes and the heart rate changes. And one of the things I really want to do, and I gotta do this, is I want to do an EKG before I go, and then one after.
Yeah.
I'd really want to see that. I really should have done some blood work this week, and I just didn't get a chance to get in. I don't want anyone taking any blood now.
I know. And, I missed my opportunity too, as well. And I think that's smart to do the EKG. I wish I had one up at the resort after the bike ride, because it took a while for my heart rate to just get more under control. So, we are getting older. So
no, that's true. Like I'm concerned about this stuff, and I want to, I like you want to get as much knowledge as I can.
Yep.
And because I do believe, like in triathlon in particular, the only way to stay competitive with those young kids is to be smarter than them.
That's right.
Right. And that's for all of you youngsters out there listening to this, is, John and I can still throw it down, but maybe not physiologically as much, but we're gonna outthink you.
Got a little bit more, yeah.
Except we're giving away all our secrets all the time.
That's right.
Or wax chains and things like that. So
that's awesome. Well, this is great talking with you about this. Yep. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll post some information on the webpage, on Facebook page about Wednesday. We'll get that all planned out. So,
and by Wednesday, I will commit it to a Saturday or a Sunday.
All right, good deal. It's going to be great. It's going to be epic.
It's going to be epic, and it actually will be October.
That's right.
We kind of cheated it.
October came early. All right. Hey, great talking.
Thanks, John. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.